What's up, MPX addicts, and welcome to the MPX Rehab. I am your host, the hashtag certified Mark J. Williams, here with my co-host, as always,
the voice of the MPX addicts, Kyle Smith.
See, doesn't it feel so much better to actually continue using that?
It does until people get pissed at me. So,
yeah.
Which, I mean, hey, to be fair, let's go ahead and say this right now. I've got two things. One, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm sorry if this show is bad. And if also I offend anyone, because again, I don't mean to offend anyone. When I coined the thing of wrestling fans are the best and worst thing about wrestling, I was talking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when people listen to this, especially workers, and they take things I say, just know I mean it, like, in the best. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to, I always have the utmost respect for wrestling, because number one, it's something I've always wanted to do. Whether it be a ref, a manager, wrestler, commentator, booker, it's something I've always wanted to do. So when I talk bad about it, I'm not talking bad about it to say it's bad. It's, I want it better, because that's what I love about wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily me comparing people or things like that. It's, again, it's a wrestling fan. I am the best and worst thing about it. And then number two is Greg.
Yes.
I hope he is getting better. There's very few people in wrestling, especially with fans. Even you can talk to wrestlers. One thing that always stuck out with me when Owen Hart's tribute show happened was Jeff Jarrett, where he was like, in this business, you may have a lot of acquaintances. There's very few you call friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that always stuck with me, one, because of wrestling and learning the business, and the more I get in the business, wrestling business is legitimately fucked up. It really is. But it's the same with fans. There are very few fans that, okay, we have wrestling comic, but not much else. And Greg is just one of the nicest people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He really is. He's one of those, I hate to say, but he's too good for wrestling. Like, he's one of those that's just super nice.
Yeah.
And I hope he gets well, and all the best to him, because again, he's just a really nice person, and I wish a lot of the addicts kind of knew that more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope Greg gets well.
Yeah, he started out as one of our #1 fans, and now he's actually just a friend. And, you know, not just a friend, obviously, but, you know, he's a friend, and we care a lot about him. So, Greg, get better soon, man. We'll hope to see you back at the show.
Yes.
But speaking of the show, let's go ahead and get started with that. We had the pre-show match, which you actually got to see, because now they're...
Thanks to Greg. I mean, exactly what happened is Greg did it. Again, one of the nice things, again, just a nice man, because he even said, he goes, you need to see this. I was like, I really don't. I can't afford it. I didn't have the season pass, blah, blah, blah. He goes, there's going to be a way to get you in. He's like, you have to see it's Tatum's return. You follow Tatum from his career. You have to talk about it. I'm like, yeah, but that's not, it's whatever. And I'm literally just sitting there smoking, and I'm getting yelled at, get in the building. I'm like, well, okay. And it's all because of Greg. So, again, thank you so much for that.
I like the idea of the at the door, $5 extra, you get the VIP pass and everything like that. I hope they keep with that, because that'll be a good way to get, you know,
one, it's a good thing to get extra money, and it also is good for those guys and girls who can't buy the season pass, because times are a little rough. Right now I've got $4 to my name. It's one of those things where it's, you know, it's one of those things that it can help out. Like, no one wants to, and again, it's two ways. Yes, I can look at it as a fan point of view and be like, oh, that's ridiculous. How dare they put Tatum and Schaefer on the pre-show where I can't see it? But again, it's also smart business.
Yeah.
To have Tatum's big return in the pre-show where you have to get a season pass, and then with the caveat of, oh, if you get $5, you can still say it's perfect. It's a happy compromise in between the both.
But let's go ahead and talk about that pre-show match. Michael Schaefer, the leading man with the entourage, taking on the returning white boy wonder.
The ghost is alive.
Yep, Tatum Manning, and this match was, wow.
Tatum ain't missed a beat.
No.
Okay,
I mean,
let's be honest. We've seen Tatum other places, but
he has been honing his craft elsewhere, and now he's home.
It is, and it's one of those where even when we talk to Tatum, no matter what happens in his career, he's always going to say MPX is home.
Yep.
Sadly, to the fact that, and I pray to God it didn't go over, but I think it did. Daddy Tatum. Like this is Tatum's home.
Yeah.
And what a better first match back. And I am glad this was the first match back against Schaefer, because they could have thrown him anyone in kind of a squash match.
Yeah.
And oh, that's Tatum's return. Look what it is.
Yeah.
And no, we got a very good match against one of the best heels in MPX, one of the uprising, just won Mr. MPX.
And been on a heck of a streak lately, too.
Exactly. Going against Tatum's return. Because, again, it also, as the overanalyzing fan, gave that thing of, oh, well, Tatum's coming back. Is he going to lose? But it is Mr. MPX. He just won. Schaefer's on the big roll. Is he going to lose with the entourage? It gave that aspect to both, which I loved.
Yeah, it made this, one of those nail biters and everything that was just hard to predict. But in the end, Tatum Manning coming away with the win on this one with that surprise.
Man, there was two things I loved about this match. Number one was that pop-up Euro, which even Tatum put on Twitter. He goes, "Yeah, this hurt, and I'm knocked out." Because again, there's one thing Schaefer does amazingly, and it's that pop-up Euro. And I just realized, why am I red? I'm not red. I'm green.
I didn't set it up. I was at work all day.
But it's one of those where he hit it and it was nailed beautifully. And then the clout chaser kind of out of nowhere hitting it. It was one of those the whole match. And again, my overanalyzing and thinking wrestling was, oh, he's going to somehow get out of the umbrella bomb into a clout chaser. And I don't even know if that's physically possible. But it would look cool.
It would. It would.
Because there was one point where they did it, and I was like, "Oh, is this? Oh no, it's not." And then it's set up for the Cloud Chaser. But yeah, it was a very good match. I loved how, again, it was. I thought it was done right. It was done to the fact where the entourage was involved, so referee Nick had to kick them. Which again, thank you, Nick, for coming back. You can never leave again. I love you.
The entourage gimmick as a whole is over, but seriously, every week you see Paulie Paparazzi is over as hell.
He's over, and the thing I love about him being over is it started with the front row girls making fun of him, but it's also now just how quick-witted he is with the other addicts. Because again, he wasn't really over there with them this time. He was over on the other side dealing with those addicts, and just his quick wit and back and forth and everyone's interaction with Turtle Sapo, I love.
Yes. Sapo, I was like, if he can't get back in the ring due to injury and things like that, him being doing what he's doing, I think he'd actually be a really good manager.
He really would, especially in that managerial role where he just gets beat up and he's kind of the we don't like you type role. I mean, it fits perfectly. And the thing I loved most, again, with Paulie and Sapo's interaction, was after the spat with Tatum and the entourage. Just after a while, they're in the ring, and Paulie's filming, and he just looks over, and Sapo's still, and he goes, "It was just a super kick. Get up." Just things like that I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. But no, I loved this match, and I love all of what's going on with it, and we'll get to see more soon. But now let's start.
I want the Paulie cuts. I want those.
I agree with you.
I want that footage because I even mentioned I was like, I think a great angle or a great story would be is if there's a 3 count, but Schaefer gets his foot on the rope or he kicks out right at 3, and it was Paulie's angle, and they bring it to management and go, no, look, this is it, and it proves Schaefer was right. I would love a Paulie cut. I think that would be cool.
Or we get the Paulie Paparazzi documentary of the man Michael Schaefer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like if only we had some editor over at MPX.
Hashtag release the Paulie cut.
Yeah.
It works for DC. Why not?
Yeah, let's release the Paulie cut hashtag. Yes.
I mean, the Justice League director's cut with Snack Snack was amazing. So it was better than the other one.
That's a low bar to clear.
Okay, true, but I know you're not a fan of Zack Snyder, but that Justice League director's cut was to me, it was so good. I loved it. But I also like Suicide Squad, which many people don't. So
I love Suicide Squad.
The first one.
The first one, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I thought you were one of the ones that hated it.
No, God,
oh, okay,
no.
good.
I think it needed work. But we'll talk about that on After Dark. This is MPX Rehab. The first actual match of the night was the MPX Addicts Championship match. A street fight between the champion, Casey Clay, the true hero of MPX, and the Puerto Rican juggernaut, Angel Camacho. And damn!
It was so good, and it was one of those immediately, though, I leaned over and I go, I don't like how Ocho's not out. Because it was just one of those things where it's like, he's already established that he's with him. He's got family. I was like, this is now a street fight where technically it would be legal for him to be there.
Yeah.
It was very weird. But no, this match was very good. Honestly, a little shocking.
Yeah.
I did not expect Casey to drop the title. I'm happy because I think Angel could be kind of that monster heel that MPX is kind of missing next to Brick and Schaefer. It's one of those where it's good. I'm excited for it, but it was a little shocking.
Yeah. And who knows? We could have the new big bad faction coming in if the rest of the Camachos happen to join him.
And that's what, 5 or 6 family members? We don't need that many.
Ah, come on.
Bring Emmy though. That one you can bring. But no, I think it's going to be a shame. We'll talk about it later because, well, that's spoiler. They're there next week.
And honestly, it was, for me, there was just, it's like my first thought on seeing him win was admittedly, wow, that actually happened. My second thought after that was, good, a Camacho has an MPX belt.
Yeah, it is one of those where we've seen Angel come a lot in MPX, and it's one of those where we've seen a lot of the DFW All Pro kids come to MPX, and they've made the names for themselves, like Exodus, like Kari, even Nate Collins. We haven't seen him in a while, but he did. It's one of those where it's like, well, yeah, Angel's been one of the best they've had, and we've had him, and he's been dominant, but he's been dominant and then kind of gone.
Yeah, we get him every once in a while, but now it's like now he's MPX Addicts champion. Exactly, which and could very well mean that we're going to get him a lot more, which is going to be awesome.
It would be good, and it's one of those. And it's Addicts. It is a door. It's not a table anymore. It is a door.
Yeah.
And then that Vader bomb, Kirby bomb, Angel bomb, whatever you want to call it, through the door was great, and it is one of those where it's. Yeah, it shocked me a little bit because it was that aspect of, well, it's an outsider, he's not here a lot, what's going to happen? But now that he's got it, I'm like, ooh, where are we going? I want to see him more. This is going to be great. And it's also, is Casey going to go back for it? Or is Casey going to set his sights higher to the MPX title that he has had? So it's going to be interesting, both of those. It's going to be interesting to see where Angel goes and how he defends it and how much we get him. And then, where's Casey going to go? Is Casey going to go back for the Addicts? Is he going to go for, well, he can't go for the Prospect, but is he going to go for the MPX title? Where's Casey going now? Like, I thought it was done very well, and it was also a very physical match that I thought did both men well. Angel, very dominant, but Casey also gave. It was one of those where it could have easily been a squash, or it could have been, I thought it was laid out very well, and also I believe it was only 8 or 9 minutes, which, looking at it, you're like, oh, really? It was that short? But, I mean, they did so much that it was like, okay, cool. But, yeah, I'm super excited to see where both these men go.
Yep. And then the next match was, once again, like I like to say, card subject to change. We were supposed to have the Tommy Becker taking on Remedy. But Remedy was not there this weekend, so instead, Tommy Becker took on Gabe Wilder.
Yeah, from everything my understanding, he's still not clear from the hand, which hopefully he gets well soon. Because when he does, I feel, again, like I said last week, I feel sorry for whoever Remedy's first opponent is.
He's going to have a lot of pent-up aggression.
He has a lot of pent-up aggression to unleash, and Remedy's he's already scary and deadly. So Tommy probably lucked out on this one, but maybe not so much because it is Gabe.
Well, I mean, considering how it ended,
Well, yeah, but I also liked how it was. We got that vignette before where the boys kind of have admitted, hey, we're on a little down streak at the moment. And that's the thing, I've said it before, I love this. Granted, I don't know what they're doing with the boys because, again, we're not management. We don't talk to booking. We don't know anything about that. But as a fan who's watched wrestling forever, it looks like a very slow turn for the boys. But it's one of those where it's Gabe is kind of fully turned almost.
Yeah.
And Matt Prince is not.
Yeah, Prince is still very heel. Gabe is more going towards the face, and to the point that a lot of fans are actually behind him.
Well, and that's the thing. Is it because the fans are behind him because it's Gabe, or is it because of his actions? Now, I do think Gabe kind of has that very good tweener role of where, again, and I love it because I think it's booking wise, knowing who you're against. Because me and you even said as soon as the music hit and we saw the match, we're like, oh, it's tweener versus tweener. Yeah. Because at this point, Tommy Becker's that way too.
The crowd was actually very split. There were a lot of people who were right behind the Tommy Becker the whole time. So it's like it's one of those weird ones where it could be either one.
Yeah.
That the fans are for, but yeah, I don't know. I was like, I'm not entirely sure where. I'm a little confused with how this is going. It does seem to be taking a bit longer than I'm used to. But I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to let it happen and see what happens there.
And that's the thing with wrestling nowadays is it's all we expect it instant and super quick. We don't get these long, drawn out stories, turns and stuff like that, which is what made things so good in the past. One of the best things and best examples is Hogan and Savage, WrestleMania 4 to WrestleMania 5. That whole year, which we're getting a little bit with Mikey and Locke, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I was like,
we're getting that a little bit, but we're getting that year-long story. And so I don't mind the very, very slow turn of the boys, but it's one of those, it did confuse me a bit, but it's like, oh, well, Gabe's already into it. Matt Prince not. Oh, please don't split them.
Oh God, I hope
so,
not.
But no, this match was again very good, very torn because everyone knows I love both these men. But I thought it was a very good match. Again, I loved how they both kind of played to the crowd. Like they knew there was a little more for Gabe than Tommy. So both of them knew. Gabe's like, okay, cool. Okay. I'm going to be the face, and then Tommy's going to be the heel. Which, in retrospect, looking at both of them, the Tom Becker is a very good heel. He is. Yeah. So I thought it was great in that moment because I really do think, and I may be wrong, but I do think going into that match, they were both like, hey, just feel the crowd. If it is the Tommy Becker they're cheering for, you be the face, you be the heel. And again, I don't know, so I'll talk to them like that.
Although I will say, I loved the eventual callback to Tommy Becker on MPX Rehab at the beginning of the match when he says, "All right, Gaby, let's fight," or something like that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
and it's one of those where it's, again, I love how Tommy has learned how to chop.
Oh God! Yes.
He's one of those that it's become apparent in the more recent weeks and months that we've seen him. Oh, Tommy's learned how to chop. He's no longer just the chopping boy. No, he can give them now. Now, granted, I do think Gabe had the edge a little bit, but
I know how those feel. I'm sorry.
Never felt Gabe. I only felt Tommy. So Tommy Dean is still the worst because he always nailed the fucking nipple.
It was Nick Nash that was the worst for me.
Yeah. Did he hit your nipple or just hard?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, Tommy Dean's also confusing because the hair, so it's yeah, never mind.
Yeah. But then we had that follow-up match of the Mad Prince with Phil Sharp.
Yes. And that's another thing. I liked how Hilda was different too. Hilda with Gabe was kind of more the face manager.
Yeah.
And then with
she
Matt
tried
Prince,
to help a little more, but it just,
And then with Matt Prince was very heel. I thought it was, again, with these three, talking about the boys and Hilda, they learned and read the crowd so well. And yeah, it's very good to see Phil Sharp. He's one of those that I do want to see more because I think there is something there. Yeah. Especially when you have a gimmick like that, which I know most people hate gimmicks, but especially with the Attic, because we've seen with legs, it works.
You know what I love about Phil Shark's gimmick? It reminds me of when Skip was playing Buzz in the Scooby-Doo show. Like
I get that too, and that's one thing
But it's like taken a little more seriously than for
that's the thing because when he did that, because it's before he did Phil. When he did that, I was like, oh, that should be you. Because I, as no disrespect to Skip, I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
But when he was Buzz, I was like, oh man, Buzz I could see every week. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Especially that surfboard move that he did.
Yeah. And then
Phil, come on, man. Come on.
But that's where I was about to go with. I was like, I really love Phil because I love film noir. I love that era and that aspect and that whole detective. I love it.
God, have you seen Werewolf by Night yet?
Yes.
Oh my God. We'll talk more about that later.
But no, it's one of those things where it's, again, given a character like Phil Sharp is one of those where you're like, it's not gonna work, but it does.
Yeah.
And it's every time I've seen him, which I've seen him maybe 5 times now, maybe a handful of times, he gets better.
He does.
Because at first I was like, oh, it's just the Dave Sagan, Cam Cole love child. That's what it reminded me of. But now he's.
I can see that though.
But now he's up. That's Phil Sharp. Cool.
Yeah.
Now this did surprise me.
I thought that we were going to see a Mad Prince win where Gabe loses and see that kind of argument and dissension between
exactly. But it was also that thing where I loved it because it's continuing that demise of the Mad Prince. It's continuing that I've lost everything. I've lost the Addicts title. I've lost the tag title. I've lost my technical kingship.
Yeah.
He's lost Mr. MPX. Like he's on that downward spiral and seeing. And again, because how good he is as a character, seeing the Prince kind of turn and go crazy and be mad, it's going to work.
When he threw the fit, my first thought was, "Hi, Christian."
That was mine too, because a lot of people don't like it. That was one of my favorite Christians. I love the temper tantrums.
It was. When I first saw it, it was just kind of like, oh God, why are they doing this? But the more I thought about it, it's like, this is unique. This is somebody who is, he is flailing literally.
Yes.
Because he just can't seem to find that win.
Exactly. So continuing that, and it's one of those things where that's the only thing I'm curious where we're going with it. Because like I said, we're seeing this little turn of the boys, but then you've got them kind of going opposite ways.
Yeah.
And you've got, so it's like, are we going to still be heel? Are we going to go fade? Like, what are we doing?
It's like, I'm not sure where the story is going, but like I said, that's why I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to watch. I'm not going to,
Well, and that's the thing that's what we've always said in MPX. I know I've come on here a lot and kind of bitched about storylines or where we're going or stuff like that. And again, that's my own head and thinking, like, case in point, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, Kid Bandit. Yeah, I wasn't happy because I was like, I don't get where we're going, what are we doing, blah, blah, blah. But again, MPX management, how they've always done, which after you think 8 or 9 years, I should trust them. They know, they have a point and they know where they're going and they've never let me down.
Yeah.
Case in point, Kid Bandit, I was like, well, this is stupid. We're not seeing them for months, blah, blah, blah. No.
Fine.
Defense title elsewhere. Oh, okay, cool. Kind of makes sense. I guess I'm on board.
Yeah.
Now, I do kind of disagree with what we're doing on the 5th, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that one, yeah. But then we have the MPX Tag Team Championship as the Sons of Mayhem made a defense against the Lost Boys, and things went a little sideways for the Sons.
It did, especially with the
Sons of Anarchy, as
no.
Hey,
he is going to hit you. He's either going to knock you out or choke you out. I kind of hope for the choke out, but...
No, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious that people for messing that up. It's like, look, the Kings missed it too.
It's one of those where when you have a TV show that is so popular as Sons of Anarchy is, of course you're going to mess that up.
Yeah.
In the back of my mind, every time I say Sons of Mayhem, I almost mess it up. This one was another shocker, and I guess if I would have realized the first shocker we had, it made sense. But it was one of those where I saw it out of nowhere, especially given the promo we had from JD at the beginning.
Yeah, which, talking about that one real quick, that was interesting.
Yeah.
As the Sons did their normal thing, and then JD was not pleased with Red. Red has to look at the back wall too.
Well, and again,
hard cam's on the other side, guys. Other side.
No, but they put things on the back of their shirt. You said that was your main complaint. But that's the thing. It's that other little small thing I like that could turn into something big. When they first joined together, Red wasn't fully sure. And, we've heard it, last week or 2 weeks ago, Red was here. He goes, no, I'm the leader.
Co-leader.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one of those where it's like,
are you
we'll
co-leaders?
But I thought the match was done very well. Again, you have the Lost Boys who have been tag team stalwarts in MPX and Texas for, centuries now? It's one of those where, of course, they're going to have good matches tag team wise. And then you've got Sons of Anarchy, which again, fuck you. Again, fuck you, Jake, for being so good as you are. For only being 10 or 11 months in.
Something like that, yeah.
For being how good you are. And then Red, again, a year or so in, being as good as you are. Like, what the fuck? It's one of those where, and they've done so well together themselves as a tag team. The match I thought was laid out good. There was 2 scary moments that I thought Silver had died. Which I guess I should
pull it out.
Not realize because Silver can't die, he's immortal. But it's one of those. There was that top rope brainbuster via El Generico that looked really bad for most people on my angle because it was right in front of me. It was fine.
The only problem with that brainbuster, that top rope brainbuster, was the fact that they hit the roof.
Oh yeah, but that's Red. That's his gimmick.
Yeah.
Red can hit the roof. Apparently, it's fine. But the one that terrified me the most is when Silver's up there and Nash hits him, and Silver just went straight. And again, my angle.
God, he's trying to kill himself.
My angle, it looked like he just landed flat on his head and neck. I'm like, oh my God! So this is the time Silver's finally dead.
Yeah.
But
and nope.
No, he again, to true Jason Silver fashion, you fucking dick, pops right back up and is fine. And yeah, the Lost Boys getting the win, which again shocked me.
Well, I mean, was it so shocking considering what happened?
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, given that, but again, if I had been thinking and like, oh, well, Angel just won, Exodus is their champion. I don't see Exodus dropping for a while. Oh, we have 3 heel champions. No, that's not going to happen.
No.
So, but going into that.
Also talking the involvement of
it also probably is my biasness to Sky.
Yeah.
For some reason, whenever Sky's in there, I'm just a fan. I don't overthink or I don't overanalyze. I just watch. And he's one of the few wrestlers I do that with. And I can't explain it. I really can't. Like, there are some wrestlers I love, but there's something about Sky that, no, I'm a 5-year-old fan. Just, nope, wrestling is wrestling. This is what it is. But it did shock me a little bit. And then, yeah, Palmer coming out, costing it, which made sense because we saw the vignette last week where, the Sons, not boys, the Sons attacked Palmer. Yeah, it made total sense. But it did shock me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, new champs on that one as well, so we'll see how this one goes. I mean,
which their 4th time holding it, maybe 3rd or 4th.
The Lost Boys.
Yeah, isn't it? Maybe
in the last 2 years.
I was gonna say maybe I'm thinking just new building only.
Yeah, it's like no, the Lost Boys are like multi-time.
Oh, I know they're multi-time, 3 or 4 multi-time, sir.
I mean, it's like I'm talking like a lot. They're like probably one of the more decorated MPX tag teams.
Oh no, are most of the great tag team in Texas, kinda. It's one of those where they fill titles everywhere, and they're also all they're missing is the Addicts title to be Grand Slam champions themselves. So.
But then after that, we had the triple threat match between Sebastian Envy, Mr. Legs, and Dmitry Alexandrov, and I called it last week. I called it. The similarity between these 3 guys, all former MPX Prospect champions who never got to complete it.
Dmitry didn't complete it?
No. Remember, he did the Rumble to get the belt.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Legs lost Jackson on like his 4th defense. Okay. Yeah, I know Sebastian lost it like on the first one, but
yeah.
Or was it second?
No. Legs won it from Jackson, lost it to Sky.
That's right. Okay.
That was the greatest match of that year.
Oh yeah, it was the through the table and the Legos or legs was flying everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sebastian Envy held it for 2-3 matches.
Did he hold it?
Yeah, he got it from Kirby.
I remember he won it randomly because I wasn't there, and I remember you messaged me. Oh my gosh, Sebastian won the title. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because at the beginning of the night he was having an Addicts Championship match with Kirby. That got messed up by somebody interfering. So he's like, you know what? Right. That got screwed up. So I'm going to give you another title shot. We're going to go for the Prospect title as the main event.
That's right.
And Sebastian won that one.
Yeah.
So the fact that they made this a #1 contendership for the MPX Prospect Championship on November 5th against Kid Bandit, I was like, I called that one.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it's going into the match, seeing those three, and this will shock people. My money was on Sebastian. You've got Kid Bandit, the huge face. Mm-hmm. We've already seen Dimitri. Legs is one of those. I love Legs, and I shouldn't doubt him because every match he's been in has been good. But I don't
go through this every time.
I know, and I don't know. I just don't know if Legs and Kid would be good. It's a fan thing. I was disappointed in Dimitri and Kid, and Dimitri can have a good match with most people.
Well, okay. The more I've found out about that one, he was injured through that whole thing.
Okay.
So he was, Kid Bandit was injured, and it was, just a bad time for them. So they tried to make it as entertaining as possible. And maybe not technically, because I've seen other Kid Bandit matches. They are technical.
And like I said, that was the thing. Like I saw all the highlights. I'm cool, excited, and then came, and I'm just like, this is it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just got the short stick.
And it's one of those where it's that horrible, huge wrestling fan I am, overanalyzing of, I didn't like it, but again, most of the ex I talked to loved that match. And it's like, okay, cool, as long as y'all like it, I guess that works. One of my, and we can't talk about him, but one of my wrestler friends, he had a match against Roger Strong, and I was like, oh, I love that match, it was so great, and he's like, nope, hate that match, guy's a dick, that match sucked, and I'm like, oh, I liked it, and he goes, well, if a fan likes it, that's all matter. I personally hated it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
okay, yeah, that's something that we actually tend to forget sometimes. You and I will sit there and go, oh, good God, this was... They just kept missing thing after thing after thing. What's going on? Are these guys okay? Yeah. And then we'll talk to other fans who don't do what we do. Right. And they're like, man, that match was awesome.
Well,
like,
and that's,
was it?
And that's one thing I hate, especially with that one with Kid and Dimitri 1, because, spoiler, we're going to have 2, is I felt I kind of ruined it for certain people, like Courtney and Greg, who, let's be honest, only 2 addicts I really talked to. I was like, oh, I didn't like it, blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, oh, I still enjoyed it. I was like, okay, good for you. Yeah. That was great. To me, I didn't like it. But this match, this triple threat, I thought was done very well. Good. Because one where it was, again, I was thinking Envy. Mm-hmm. I could see Legs, because again, you've got the most... I don't know what word I'm looking for, but the one who you wouldn't think would be as over as they are with Legs, as far as the addicts just absolutely loving him. You've got Envy, who, yes, is the heel that would work against Kid, or you've got Dimitri, who we've already seen. Kid knows him, you could work. So it was those
There's
three.
also the long-running story of Dmitry Alexandrov being, very angry that he lost that match to Kid Bandit, the first defense. Yeah. And everything. So he's on the warpath to get it back. So vicious lately.
Yeah, and it was one of those where I thought it would, again, storyline-wise, same, everything I said to get to that, was storyline-wise, I could see it going either way. Mm-hmm. I could see it going this, that, or that, and I thought the way the match was laid out was that way of like, oh, Sebastian went, oh, Dimitri went, oh, Legs is going. It could go either way. They did very well at laying that match out. And it was good to see Sebastian back. Despite, I was going to say, despite how much crap I give you about with Sebastian, the guy is... And yeah, the new gear, obviously you're going to win over, at least me, when you wear purple and black in MPX. Yeah. But no, I thought it was good, and it was something that I hopefully his personal bigger career side has decided to where he can be here more. And I
would
also
love that. At the
and
same
I
time,
also
I also
do
kind of
like,
want him to explode.
Oh, I do want him to succeed in
Yeah.
life. That's not. Yeah, I want him to succeed in his filming because that would be great. But it is also one of those. I like how it wasn't because I had joked. I was like, oh, he's part of the entourage, but he's not. Like I enjoyed that aspect of it, of where no, he's just the director that every now and then will work with Schaefer.
Yeah.
I thought that was great because immediately, yeah, they could throw him into the entourage and just he could be another cog, and he's not.
Well, they could reunite Best Picture and have another heel tag team going at it.
Right. Yeah, but this match I thought was laid very well out. It was a little weird to me. Like I said, the way Dimitri won, because Dimitri won, and then immediately, and I don't know if you heard it, but he was like, "I'm tired of fighting this type of talent," and I was like, interesting. But yeah, Dimitri seemed very mad at the moment, even though he won, and I don't know if he's mad just because of what the match happened, of other things that are going on, or if the fact that he's like, look, I've beat Legs before, I've beat Envy before, I shouldn't have to earn a right to be the prospect #1 contender. That should be my belt already.
Technically, Legs had already won that right, and now Dimitri.
Yeah, but remember, no one remembers that.
Yeah.
We've had that argument before. You're going to try to bring it back up?
That was, hey, it was even mentioned in the vignette, so you know what? Meh.
But no, it was one of the, again, I thought the match was laid out good. I thought all three men did well. Because again, you, in the end, at least from a fan's point of view, you could see it going either way. While yes, Dimitri is probably the more decorated of them, and the, I hate to say better one, but in fans' eyes, he is kind of, up there on a high pedestal.
Yeah.
You could see Sebastian or Legs winning this. To have Dimitri do it, to get Dimitri versus Kid on November 5th, hopefully, it should be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And hopefully, and again, no disrespect for Dimitri Kid, just in my eyes, I hope it's a little better.
I was like, hopefully, Kid's feeling better, physically, mentally, everything like that, and we'll have a top-notch match because, like I said, we've seen some incredible matches online with Kid Bandit.
Yes.
But let's talk about the match that didn't really happen.
No.
As Mikey B came out, he was supposed to be having his one-on-one match finally with Matlock, but the boy band Behemoth, well, he hurt himself against Tommy Dean, and so he couldn't really compete.
Tommy Dean's physical, sir.
It's like, I don't know, I thought he was just trying to make excuses so he could go film another version of Aladdin. You see that gimmick?
No, first of all, fuck you, it's not Aladdin. I love the Sabu gimmick. I love the Sabu pants. I think the Sabu pants work amazingly. I just wish you...
It was the vest.
I wish you did more Sabu stuff, but anyways.
Yeah.
No, I again, and I've talked about it before when, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was like, it's too soon. No, they're dragging it out, and I fucking love it.
Yes.
They are dragging this out, and I love, and it's very weird, because I think me and you talked about it, maybe me and someone at the bar talked about it. Sammy's not comfortable or good, or at least looks uncomfortable or good on camera, but in the crowd, being live,
put her in front of
she
people,
is perfect.
She's got it. Yeah.
Just fucking film her vignettes in front of a crowd, and they're good, probably.
Yeah. Well, actually, at the vignette towards the beginning of the show with Matt, she, it may have been the fact that she was already, in the heat of it and kind of rushing through, but she looked fine on that one.
Yeah.
And then Matt, is like, whoa, I like you, but just as a friend, and I'm going to kill your fiance. I'm just letting you know. And he almost did.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, well, he almost did. He almost did.
I thought you meant almost liking her as a friend. But anyways, no.
Well,
the storyline, again, it, like we've kind of talked about and alluded to, and for people who don't know, it goes back to the 87 Hogan Savage with Miss Elizabeth. It is mimicking that, and it's being done so well. At this moment, it's our best storyline, and I'm here for it because, again, they are doing what I've said I wanted. I want the slow build, the slow turn, and again, when they do have the physicality, the physicality is there.
Yeah, and actually that's one of the things, like we've talked about it again and again. This is very much the Mega Power split kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And everything. But this isn't a beat for beat recreation of it. This is the idea of the Mega Power split,
right,
with Mikey B and Matt Locke as themselves. This
yes.
isn't like the FTR Owen versus Brett match.
Right. Yeah, it's not identical. It's alluded to and stuff like that. But it's being done so well, and everything they're doing, and like I was getting to, the physicality when they actually can be physical is good. Like, yes, we didn't have a match. They got broke apart with security,
Ernie, Richard.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing when Ernie and Richard came out. I'm like, oh shit,
this is serious.
Oh,
and then
fuck.
Sammy getting
dads are mad. God damn it.
But Sammy getting hurt in the crossfire.
Yeah, which that was the other thing I loved is how, yeah, she's hurt. Mikey walks off and leaves her. Who's taking her to the back?
Yeah, I know.
Again, it's these little things to the story that I love so much.
I can still see Matt liking Sammy just as a friend, but a very good friend. You know, that's a possibility. It's a possibility.
I'm going to piss a lot of people off right now. But as a male, you do not have female friends. You have females that you're attracted to and eventually want to get with. Yeah, okay. Thank you. You served my point. I know you're a little different because your relationships and your thinking and stuff like that. But for most males, when you have a friend, you eventually just want to be with them.
I don't know. I'll just keep expecting eventually we're going to get a Mrs. Locke chant like we got the Mrs. Sterling chant.
Hey, addicts! Every time somebody's out there, it's Mrs. Locke.
Yep. But
Courtney's the only one here. Courtney, get that going.
But in the end, it was actually a really incredible fight, and the chance of let them fight going on.
Let them fight, and I also loved, and I loved it last week, how all the addicts are chanting Sammy instead of Mikey. That also, again, it helps that storyline. Despite fans are a huge part of wrestling in storylines and matches and stuff like that. Not always. They're a small piece, but in things like this, they're a huge piece.
Oh yeah.
To see where they are going, because they could easily let's be honest, because of the way Locke was in the past, this could easily be everyone behind Mikey and Sammy and not Locke.
Yeah.
But the addicts have made it, oh no, Locke's our guy. Fuck you, Mikey. We like Sammy, but fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, no, and it's really looking good. Maybe eventually we'll get that match between these two, but it definitely wasn't this last week, and it's not going to be this week either. It looks like. We'll talk about that one next.
We will, and I hope, and I know it's a long ways, but I really, because our next big show is Cold Day in Hell. Drag it out 2 more months. Drag it out 2 more months. I don't care if you do tag matches in between, where yes, they still interact. Drag it out 2 more months. And again, like I said, I want the story of where it's a slow turn for Sammy. Yeah. Sammy's all with Locke, and then all of a sudden at that turn, boom, nails. That's what I want. I think they could do that, and they could draw it out so well. I mean, fuck, at this point, with the way they're doing it and how much people are wrapped in the story, we probably could do it to Rumble or Destiny.
Yeah, actually, that could work. But let's go ahead and talk about the main event as well, because this is where a lot of the story of the night centered around. Because like we talked about earlier, the Sons of Mayhem with JD Griffey coming out and Griffey kicking Red out of his usual position, in front of everybody else. And then Exodus coming out in the middle of JD's promo.
Which is, again, it's very weird. And I get it, because as a fan, I would do the same thing. You hate JD more than Exodus, but again, in that building, to have the fans actually like and chant Exodus is super weird.
It is super, super weird. But given how that promo he cut.
Yes. That was so great. And I love how in this day and age with social media and everything else out there in the internet, of how they mention they were a tag team at Impact. And it was Exodus that took the line. I love things like that. And it's when we first had this match 4 months ago, maybe.
Something like that.
Having this match, and this is what we wanted. We wanted Exodus and Jerome on the mic against each other. Because again, it's, while yes, both are phenomenal in the ring, and most people know Jerome is good on the mic. Case in point, we haven't seen Palmer in a while. Jerome's carried with the vignettes from Nick. Jerome's carried this feud and this match with Palmer on the 22nd by himself. Palmer really hadn't said anything. Palmer hadn't been there. He's been kind of leading it with his own mic skills. So JD is good on the mic. Most addicts know that. I don't think people realize how good Exodus is when you give him a mic and give him an opportunity. I know he's done things here and there, but to have Jerome versus Exodus on a mic is what I've always wanted, and it was so great.
Yeah, and honestly, the just the way he started that out, like, this ain't 2015, that ain't the trust fund.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy crap, that's a callback. It's like, that's incredible.
I mean, it's true. I love the Sons of Mayhem, but they are not Victor Tedlock. They are not Joey Garcia.
Nope.
They are not Stephen Kirby.
Nope.
They are not Scar Motor. Like, it is completely different. But again, Jerome is different than he was in the Trust Fund.
That is also true.
So I love the callback, and while I was like, yes, then I'm like, wait, that's a different Jerome.
Course,
that's a different Jerome you're fucking with.
And then, of course, the jabs at the Sons of Mayhem themselves. I can't remember what he said about Nick. I can remember he called Jake Bobby Hill.
Yes, which because I love King of the Hill, I love that. And I love Shrek. Don't get me wrong, but I love Bobby the Hill better than Shrek.
You know, I'm gonna say, it's like, at some point I would love to see Jake say, "That's my person. I don't know you."
No, I just want to hear one time he's down and Red's like, "God damn it, Jake."
But and then he calls Red Chucky. I don't know whether it's
which I love better than Wendy. I really do, because I think Wendy's kind of always taken and given. Nowadays, at least with most of our generation, Weasley and stuff is given. Having Chucky, a throwback from our era,
the millennial double hit of, I don't know whether it's Rugrats or Child's Play. I'm just like, oh my god, yes.
Too. Yeah, calling it Rugrats too. And I think it was Ricky Bobby. I think it's what
Ricky Bobby. Yeah.
Which is kind of makes sense if you've heard Nash on our show. Yep. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that he would be a NASCAR fan. So it works.
And what's funny is, if you know Nick, he's not Ricky Bobby.
No, but he might drink like him, but that's the other thing, and I know there's been issues, but I love having Nick there. I love having Nick a part of the group, a part of the tag, and
I'd like to see him wrestle again.
I would too, because again, I didn't think he was that bad. No. I thoroughly enjoyed, and you could say his biasness, but it's not really, because I don't. And Nick will probably tell you this. I'm not that close to him, but
for me, there's a bit of bias there. He is my friend.
I would consider. I would consider him a friend too. But it's not one of those where most people are like, "Oh, you stay," because you're like, "No, he's actually good."
Yeah.
I remember there was before he debuted at Hot, or before he debuted MPX, he was at Hot, and he just delivered a clothesline. I'm like, holy shit, that clothesline was solid.
And if he does more than just, strikes, he's actually really good technically.
Yes.
But, we don't make those calls.
No, we don't.
If we did,
that's probably it. Let's be honest, it's probably good we don't.
Yeah.
But you would have Sebastian hold all the titles, wouldn't you?
No. Iron Belly would be Addicts champion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
And we're canceled. Good.
Yep. I'm so glad this is our own show. But
for now, you're pretty close with management, so.
That's true. Hey, they start sponsoring us, as in, then they can call the shots. Until then.
Yeah.
But, the match itself. Exodus Prime, JD Griffey. This was everything we unfortunately didn't really get with Exodus versus Izzy.
I was just going to say, I was like, this is what... I hate to say it because I know we're not supposed to talk about it anymore. This is what Izzy and Exodus should have been. This is definitely, God, it's coming up soon in a couple of weeks. When I start doing the whole match of the year candidates, this one's on here.
Oh yeah.
This was way better than their other contests. And it was also, again, I think it was attributed to that, because we talked about it, I talked about it with Greg in the car. He was like, oh, could Jerome win? And now it's Jerome versus Palmer at the 22nd. I'm like, that match doesn't need the title, so I hope it's not. Plus, it's also selfishly, I want Exodus to carry that title longer. I think it's going to be a very good match, but in the end, going into it, I can see it going either way. And they did a good job as laying that out, that it could go either way.
And then, of course, Matthew Palmer getting involved at the end with JD losing to Exodus Prime, which actually, that's, like I said on the post in Facebook, Barrett Brown, Izzy James, now JD Griffey.
Yeah.
Exodus Prime is working his way through the classic greats of MPX.
He is. And even before that, I may be wrong, but I think he's beaten Kirby before. I don't know if he's ever tangled with Fisher. But he's gone through a long list of MPX. Like, as of right now, if you look at his history and his title reign, it's good. And that was the other thing I liked. He posted it. He may not be there every week, but when he is there, guess what? It's a title match.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where he's proving to be one of the best, and we've said it for a while. He's one of the best in Texas. And why? And we'll probably talk about this later, but there are so many wrestlers I've seen at MPX in Texas in general, how they're not signed to bigger companies or bigger companies. When they're not on national TV, I don't understand. Exodus is one of those right now, for me personally, at the top of my list. The mic skills, the in-ring, the selling, just a persona, his look, everything about that man. I don't know why Exodus isn't more places.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it's same with Jerome. I know Jerome is with AEW, so to speak. But it's one of those I don't.
Man should be on Rampage and Dynamite, not Dark and Elevation.
No, and that's the thing. Exodus should be on fucking Rampage, Dynamite, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, MLW, Impact, whatever the fuck there is that's big. Fucking New Japan even. Like, that man should be everywhere. Both of those men. It's just very weird to me. And again, and that's probably Texas biasness, because I've said that for years. I've said that for years. How Barrett Brown is not on our national TV.
Yeah.
How Moonshine Mantell is not on our national. Izzy James. Like, there's so many men, which, if you look at two of those, Exodus has beat and had amazing matches with. Dimitri is one of those I put up there too. Like, it's very weird to me, but this match was laid out good. It's one of those where it's like, they could put the belt on Jerome to give him the 5-time to defend it against Palmer, but that match doesn't need a belt.
No, it doesn't. It's got enough just between the two of them.
Exactly. And then the way to have the match laid out the way it did, and then the whole spiel afterwards, which again,
we do have to talk about that one.
Wrestling fans, MPX addicts, follow your wrestlers on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I think most people would have known Athena would have been there. Now, the thing after that, no one knew, but
I gotta be honest. When I was watching the match, I'm sitting there going, if I were to book this, how would I book the ending of this match? Nick gets knocked out. Athena, who's already announced, hey, I'm going to go to MPX, comes out and costs JD the match, since JD is...
when I first saw the Twitter, I had told Greg, because I didn't think Palmer was going to be there.
Yeah.
Then that was before the tag match. That was when we were sitting in the car. I was like, oh, she's going to cost Jerome because the Son's attacked, Palmer.
That was my thought, too.
It makes sense.
And then Exodus retains. Instead, I was right on 2 out of 3.
No, we still saw Athena, which was always amazing to see Athena, which I don't care what people say or that MPX is home to Athena.
Mm-hmm.
Athena made her name, she grew her work at MPX. Yep. I was there at the old building for MPX. I saw Athena become who she is. I was there the night she was signed when it was her last match. I was like, hey, congratulations. And she goes, on what? And I was like, you just signed the WWE. And she goes, oh, that's out? I was like, yeah, it's on the dirt sheets. They got it now. She goes, oh, well, thank you. Like, I specifically remember that. And again, it's one of those where it is a sense of pride when we can see wrestlers develop and go on to those huge goals. So whenever Athena is back, it brings me back to seeing her at the old days, at the old building. Yeah. So just having her come out, and again, to even the odds, there's already Jerome, Nash, Red, and Jake there. There's 4.
You got Palmer, you got the Lost Boys, and then Athena comes out to even those odds.
And before all that, I love at Exodus, when they came in, when the Suns came in, Exodus like, not my fight, I'm good. I'm like, I love you, Exodus. Because at that point, Exodus kind of was the face the whole time. Most of the addicts thought Exodus is, oh, he's going to fight with him. And Exodus immediately grabbed his time and he goes, no, I'm good, thank y'all.
Have a good night.
I love that about Exodus.
They had to do something to keep him heel, right?
It was so great. And to have that, because again, they played off the crowd. Exodus, for the most part, was kind of face, which I even leaned over here. I go, I've never seen him face. I've only seen him heel. I wasn't there at DFW where he was a face, whatever. I've never seen that. Yeah. And to see him do it in this match, I was like, okay, this is cool. He can do both. And then immediately at the end, when they came out, he grabs the belt. He goes, no, I'm good. And he even looked. I think it was Palmer. He looked and he goes, bye. Yeah. It was so great. And then they have Lost Boys come out, and then Athena, which Red, you need to apologize to Athena. I don't know what you did, but she fucking nailed you.
It's not the first time either. Remember the tag team of Palmer and Athena versus Kirby and Red?
She nailed Red so hard, and I was like, what the fuck did you do to piss her off?
Right? It's like, what did you do? It's like, there seems to be a long running, ire between the two of them. I don't know.
It was so great, and that whole spat, and then we got the very, very big, again, addicts, always be at your shows.
Oh, yes.
You never know what you're going to miss. Abaddon.
Abaddon came out.
It was
I was not expecting Abaddon to show up.
I wouldn't either, because Athena's in the ring, and I guess I probably should have known if I was thinking about it. But the lights went out. I'm like, who the fuck's going to attack Athena? Like, this is weird. And then the music hit and the name hit on the screen. I go, there's no way she's fucking here. That's the 22nd.
It's just to mess with her. Yeah. And, have her on her toes. And then they come out.
They came out, and it's...
They are a lot smaller than I thought they were.
They are a lot hotter than I thought they were. And I'll be honest,
the camera work on that just shows you how good the camera work on AEW can really be.
Man,
because it's like they made Abaddon larger than life to me. Because I thought they were big, I thought they were, burly and everything like that. Because
I don't mind
when they're towering over the other women at AEW. I'm just like, oh my God, Abaddon's like huge. I'm thinking like Nyla Rose kind of size, but they come out and they're tiny.
And again, I did not
barely taller than Athena, barely.
Yeah, and again, I didn't mind because I was like, oh. It's way hotter in the person. Right. And then them just going after Athena, which again, I know people have heard me before, where I was like, I don't like her in ring. It's not that great. She has a great character. They have a great character. I'm not that great with her in ring. She did very well. And it's only a little spat with them, but they did well. Yeah. Like Athena and Abaddon, MPX did very well in making me looking forward to that match. I dare say more than Palmer and Griffey. Like, it's very hard. I'm super excited for both.
Yeah, I was like, they're 1A, 1B.
But, man, seeing Abaddon live, that atmosphere, the surprise, the super surprise, because again, if you follow Twitter and Facebook, You knew Athena was going to be there. But the super surprise of Abaddon being there, like, nah, I'm actually super excited for them to appear.
Yeah. But I'm also still super excited for next week because we got some names and matches on here that are going to be really, really awesome to watch.
Yes.
Because to start with the pre-show match.
The pre-show show?
Pre-show show is going to be the Monster Hunter Matthew Palmer versus the Judge Jake Lindsay. Obviously, Palmer's got some aggression towards Jake that he's got to work off, especially after what happened in that attack during training.
Which, I mean, is it smart for Palmer to go after the biggest member of Sons?
Well,
despite that he's got an opponent on the 22nd in Jerome in the last man setting.
It's going to be the 17 years of experience versus, as he said, the 7 months of.
11. Give him credit.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be really, really awesome.
It's going to be good, and it's going to be one of those where again, I think. This is one of those matches where Jake's going to impress a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are probably sick of me saying it, but Jake is so good.
He is.
And I think this is probably to the date probably his biggest opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone with Palmer's experience, someone with the caliber of Palmer. Technically, Jake hadn't really necessarily been in the ring with. He's been in the ring in a tag match with Barrett, but this is singles.
Yeah.
And going against Palmer, this is going to be a huge learning experience for Jake, and I think it's going to be great. But it's also where the rest of the Sun's going to be. Is Jerome going to be there? Is Nick and Red going to be there?
Yeah, because they're not on any of the cards.
Does Palmer have still friends in the Lost Boys? Like, it's one of the where the Lost Boys just out there because they just beat
the Lost Boys are going to be a little busy because we've got the tag team championship match in which they're going to take on the Camachos.
Well, that's a later. It's not a pre-match.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
This is the first match. The Lost Boys could be like, yeah, we'll deal with the Camachos later.
True.
Which you shouldn't overlook Angel and Ocho.
No.
But
jeez.
I mean, if for some reason, and again, it kind of goes back to their history. The Palmers and Lost Boys, they have a long history together with it being, whether it be MPX or ACW, all three of those men are tied to Texas wrestling.
Yes.
So could it be like, no, we'll be with you because fuck the Sons, or are they gonna leave them alone? And I mean, I doubt we would see it twice. But is Athena there? Like, it's one of those. Does Palmer have friends that night?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah. The Lost Boys and the Camachos, that's going to be an incredible match as well. We could see a Angel 2 belts?
No. I hate the whole 2 belts thing.
True. I really don't like it when 2 different belts. I mean, it's like when you got something like what the Usos have.
Right.
Where Roman's got both of the main titles and the Usos have both of the
it's not under
titles.
both titles. That's unified.
Yeah.
It is one title.
It's the undisputed title. Yeah. But it's like, that's fine. But when you have, one of the singles titles and the tag titles locked up like that, I'm not a big fan.
I'm not either, and I doubt, because again, knowing MPX lore and history and everything they've done, we're not having all heel champions. But I am looking forward to this match because we've seen the Camachos just kind of be physical and destroy most people in the past. So do the Lost Boys. The Lost Boys are, I guess you could say, excessive.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous.
So it's going to be very good to see what happens.
But we're also going to be having some other really dangerous, excessively violent matches as Tommy Dean will be taking on the rugged Gabe Wilder.
That's super exciting.
I know. I'm actually really looking forward to that one.
That is one of those where it's 2 of my, I guess you could say, local favorites. I love everything they've done from the start, from the rise. And it is one of those where it's like, this match right here, I was like, it really could go any way. And as a fan, again, overanalyzing, overthinking, it's one of those where I don't know where they could go. Yeah, you could have Gabe kind of get back up to get his win streak, or you have Tommy Dean get his win streak back because he's lost.
Yeah.
he was on a little bit of win streak, and now he's kind of back down at the bottom. So it's one of those where it's like either one could go, and to me, I think it boils down to, and again, we don't know anything. If I'm management, I have Tommy win if we're getting him back in a couple of weeks or a week, or if we're getting him again. Because again, Tommy he's Oklahoma, so it is a bit of a travel. But if we're going to have Gabe every week,
and he really doesn't like driving alone.
Oh, I wouldn't. Fucking Oklahoma, I wouldn't.
Exactly, yeah.
But it is one of those where if he's not going to be back for a while, and you have Gabe who's going to be here every week, every other week, I could see Gabe taking it.
But then we've got that, it's like it is kind of a downward spiral for Gabe lately. And of course, we've also got the Mad Prince taking on the former MPX Addicts champion, Casey Clay.
Yes. Which again is both on a lose streak.
And
it's one of those where are we seeing the continuing demise of the Mad Prince always losing, or are we seeing Casey like, nope, I lost my title, fuck you, I want to prove I want a rematch. I think it would be interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the one that's going to just be painful to watch. Brick Savage taking on the All-Star Matlock. This is going to hurt to watch.
This is a dream match for a lot of addicts.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago where that dream match was first pitched. I'm like, oh, that'd be crazy.
Brick Savage talking about how it's like at HOT, he was going to be taking on, he's going to hurt Matlock.
Yeah, and then here we are, maybe a month later since that dream match was pitched, and it's actually happening. And it's like, oh my God. As a fan, oh my God, yes, super excited. Again, and it's one of those things where it's, we haven't seen Brick since he lost to Tommy. Tommy Dean, granted, had help, but won against Brick Savage, the unstoppable beast that was Brick Savage.
Yeah.
And you've got Matlock, who has a lot of personal issues and baggage with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, where are we going with this? It's going to be one of the most, I dare say, it's probably going to be one of the most physical matches we'll see in that building. Because you've got Matlock, who, again, you could put Matlock against fucking Andre the Giant. He wouldn't give a fuck. He's going to try the chop and kick his chest in. And you've got Brick, who, again, put him against Andre the Giant. He goes, well, fuck you. I'll pick you up and hold you for 20 seconds. I don't give a fuck. It's one of those things where either one of them don't care. So this match is going to be super physical.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be... But then we've also got the MPX Championship match in which Exodus Prime will be defending against the #1 contender for the Prospect Belt, Dmitry Alexandrov.
Yeah, which is... This match was a little weird for me for the simple fact of like, well, Dimitri's already got the Prospect title championship match. Why is he... Because say he beats Exodus, what is the point in that November 5th match now?
Exactly.
Like, it's one of those where I was like, while yes, this will be a great match because these are two great competitors.
As a match, this is going to be incredible.
Yes. As the overthinking fan and booking, it's like, why is this happening?
Yeah. It's like, admittedly, I'm being an armchair booker here, but I'm really, really trying to find the sense in this because either A, Dimitri's going to win, which actually takes the wind out of the sails of the Prospect Championship match, or Dimitri loses, and it takes the wind out of the sails of the Prospect Championship match because Exodus has already beat him.
I get you with the first one. I don't think it necessarily takes the wind out of the sails of the second one because we've seen people be on that losing streak, get the Prospect title, and go to win. Like we could see that. We could see Dimitri, the loss to Exodus, if it happens, fuel him to beat Kid Bandit, to get that title, to beat 4 other competitors, then go against Exodus. We could see that
like
build.
I said, this is my own mind, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If this works out really, really well and the story is great all the way through, then I'm wrong. And I fully admit that. Well, this is why I'm not a booker.
Well, and it's also one of those things where it's I doubt they would do or say to employ, but what if Kid Bandit causes a distraction and Exodus wins? just to play mind games with Dimitri for November 5th.
We could see that.
Again, I don't think they would do that because from what we've seen and know of Kid Bandit, he's very face.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be possible.
That's true.
It is one of those things where, yeah, when this match was laid out, and as soon as I saw it, my first reaction was like, why? Is it going to be a great match? Absolutely. We've seen Dimitri and Exodus against each other, and it's phenomenal.
I know, Dimitri pointed out that he's taken on Exodus more than just about anybody else this year.
Yeah.
And every time it's been fire.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like it's going to be a banger of a match, but I'm just me. I'm questioning the booking decision. And I'm probably wrong.
No, and like I said, I totally agree with you. To me, it's weird and doesn't make sense. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't save that for after the prospect or whatever we're doing with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, I try not to question MPX.
Check back in December.
I try not to question MPX because every time I do, they prove me wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's why you're good. Yeah.
Check back with me in December after the end of Cold Day in Hell, if that's what we're calling the winter show.
Hopefully.
I've changed it before.
Yeah, I mean, we had Purple Rain in May, so.
Yeah. But
it was a special circumstance, but.
Admittedly. But it's like, check back with me in December, and if I'm wrong, I will admit that I am wrong. Because, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. I'm human, thanks. But, yeah, so make sure you have your tickets for this Saturday. It's just, it's still going to be an incredible show. The matches are all going to be amazing, and I am so very much looking forward to that, despite any misgivings I might have about any of the decisions.
Right, no, and that's saying, when we've said it, we're like, why? But then we're like, well, fuck, it's going to be a great match, so.
And I'm hoping...
I mean, Cena Orton, how many times you saw it, was still great.
Same with, to be perfectly honest, so was Edge and Cena.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm hoping that they continue on with the $5 at the door gets you in for the VIP pass. That's a personal hope and everything, because I think it worked out really well for them last week.
I think it
worked out for them this time, too. But make sure you have your tickets, because this is going to be a good show.
Yes.
And we'll see you in a few minutes, I guess, because Rehab After Dark is next. Mark out, ladies and gentlemen.
See you all in 15 minutes.